Hello, welcome to my Instagram live. I hope that this is all going to work. I just had to do a second connection, but hopefully this is all showing good. So let me know if you're in the house. Give me a little wave, drop me a heart. Nice to see you. Is everybody looking forward to a long bank holiday weekend? The Easter weekend, oh my goodness. One of my favourite holidays, actually, because you get that lovely chunk of time. So already Thursday, people begin to think, oh, whoop, whoop, bank holiday tomorrow. Sorry for all those that have to work on bank holiday. I will actually be doing a bit of work too, but nothing too strenuous. But I am taking some time out and I am somewhere special. So I will be putting pictures on my Instagram. So those of you that follow me on Liz Earle Me, I will be sharing where I am with every one of my children, which is a rare thing when you have a tribe of 5. But yeah, even Guy, he's come over from Kenya, which is really, really good. Spend some time with the family. Well, today we are going to have a deep dive into a really interesting nutrition company. It's called Wild Nutrition. I'm going to be joined by a fab female founder, Henrietta Norton, to talk about the many benefits of so many things, but especially omega-3. And this is very topical because there's been quite a lot in the news recently about omega-3. Some good, some bad, but I think her version is very good. So I really want to drill down. Oh, Elton John was fabulous. Oh my goodness. So if you go onto my stories on Liz Earle Me, if you're quick, because as we know, stories disappear after what is it? Well, they've got another half day, I think, to run. Then you will see some clips. I did quite a bit of little video filming on my phone and I posted it because I wanted to share it with everybody because he was epic. Anyway, let's see if Henrietta Norton is in the with this brilliant nutrition brand. It's called Wild Nutrition, and they have a really interesting way of working, which I'm
Hi, Liz.
talking about.
Nice
Hello.
to see you. Happy Thursday.
Very nice. Yeah, it's lovely to see you too. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Wild Nutrition and your background before we get started?
Yes.
With the
So Wild Nutrition, I'm a nutritionist and I spent kind of 10 years in the industry working with clients in clinic, but also formulating products for many other different companies. And my experience of that made me think that there needed to be a different, better, more natural way of producing supplements in a way that actually really reflected how I was working predominantly with women. So supplements that really reflected what I was seeing in the women in clinic. So working with their real bodies. So I put together a few supplements to work to use in my clinic, and then that sort of escalated into them becoming a whole range, and 13 years later, 10 years of selling it to the public, 13 years of selling it within clinics. Later, we have a range of supplements that support women through every life stage. So whether that's puberty through to pregnancy, through to menopause and post-menopause. And we use a form of nutrient that is as close to nature as kind of nature intended nutrients to be. So it uses a food growing method. Right. That just means that it's just that little bit more gentle, but also more effective in the body.
Now, I can see from comments that there is a slight delay on our sound. We've had this before, and I was watching another Instagram live with somebody else yesterday. I think maybe it's an Instagram issue. So what I'm going to suggest we do, so that we don't talk over each other, because it seems fine to me and it probably seems fine to you as well, but we're just going to leave a slight gap in between, okay, so that then hopefully it will record well. It's very interesting what you say about food sourced nutrition, because there have been some studies that show, oh, vitamin supplements don't work, they just make expensive whey, it's a load of rubbish. But they seem to be the multivitamins created from synthetics, which aren't very well absorbed by the body, they're not very bioavailable. Whereas when you're using food sourced ingredients, they're so much more potent. They're more expensive, but they do actually work. What's your view on that?
Exactly the reason why I wanted to use the food growing method as opposed to anything else, because you know, to use a very kind of simplified analogy, the way that nutrients are found in food are a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. So you have all these different components that have kind of slightly linked together. And what they do is they all support the fuller picture. So if there are pieces of those jigsaw puzzle missing, you can't see what the full picture is. And that's exactly the same for the body. So, you know, in nature, the nutrients are found in this kind of jigsaw puzzle. When we absorb them in that form, our body knows exactly what it needs to do with it. It metabolizes it really effectively. And then ultimately what that does is create a cellular change, a kind of a measurable change in the body. If you use a synthetic form, you have less of those components in the jigsaw puzzle, and it's more confusing for the body to know how to use it. I mean, it's actually a very intuitive way of supplementing the body. We're meant to be supplementing the body with things that will be naturally found in nature.
Sure. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Now, I know that one of the things that you were keen to talk about, and I'm also very keen to talk about, is the omega-3. And this omega-3 is a brilliant one, and we will talk about where it's sourced. Because you probably saw, as a nutritionist, there was quite a big article, I think it might have been in The Guardian, talking about omega-3s and how many fish oil supplements are rancid, and they are not good. So you obviously do not want to be taking rancid oil supplements. And it seemed to be coming from kind of industrial fish processing. And I know that your source is quite different from that and is actually delivering a really pure, beneficial source of omega-3. So should we talk a little bit about sourcing, and then let's talk about the benefits of omega-3?
Yes, sourcing is everything. You know, I know firsthand, I used to, when I was training to be a nutritionist, I worked in Whole Foods actually. And so I know how confusing it is as a consumer to come in when there is really piles and piles of different products saying how brilliant they are and it's the one to choose. But actually the sourcing, the starting material is of vital importance. So not all omega-3s are the same, not all nutrients are the same. And you know, that study, that research was really interesting, because it's actually the truth. There is a lot of rancid, poor quality material in the industry, and I would love that not to be the case, but sadly that is the case. What we do is we source a very, very high quality one. We use Alaskan pollock, which first of all is a very much more sustainable form of fish to use to extract the oils from. It's from the Bering Sea, and we use a process called molecular distillation and cold water extraction, both of which are more expensive but produce very, very high quality oils. So what it does is it means that the cold water extraction reduces the oxidation that could occur. So when we're talking about rancid fish oils, it's often through a process of oxidation. So they've been spoiled, the oils have been spoiled. And when we ingest those, actually they become more detrimental oils than beneficial oils. So they're
terrible.
No,
you do not want to be swallowing
in any circumstance, especially not in omega-3, because you know, one of the functions of omega-3 is what you're trying to do is to counter the effects of our overconsumption of other oils. So omega-3 in its purest form is incredibly important for our body, and I'm sure we'll come on to talk about the benefits of it. But in terms of sourcing and how you extract the oil is absolutely paramount. So we extract it through a cold water extraction. It's within 1 to 2 hours of catch. We use a process where there's a less than 1% bycatch, which again, you know, this is really important to us because, you know, we're a B Corp company as well. And so bycatch is where when you're fishing for the fish that you're going to use and extract the oils from, you then can kind of catch in the net a whole heap of other fish that and marine life that is taken into the net. It still dies and it's disregarded. So by using the process that we use, there's a very small amount of bycatch, which is incredibly important as well for this sustaining the diversity of the sea life. Then it's then, as I say, going through a cold water extraction within 1 to 2 hours. So, you know, it retains the purity of the oil. And there's a measurement for measuring oxidation within the industry, and it's called your TOTOX levels. and the industry standard is 26. Okay, so a reading of 26, and ours is below 5. So, which is, you know, it's and that's a personal kind of vendetta as a business to get to those levels. It's kind of unprecedented. So, you know, the purity is absolutely everything. And I think that, you know, that runs through our philosophy with all our products. It's all about the quality. It's not just about getting something onto the shelf to sell.
Yeah. Really, really interesting. And I've just taken a couple of these actually because you've reminded me. Omega-3s, in particular the DHA part of this. Let's talk about the EPA and the DHA ratio. And I should actually say you have generously given us a Liz Loves discount across your whole range. And I know that everyone will want to go and explore after talking. It's wildnutrition.com. It is brilliant, and I want to talk about the consultations that you get as well, because that's also really interesting. But let's finish off talking about the omega-3s. You know, why should we be taking omega-3, and what is the EPA and the DHA that's in here?
So, I mean, you know, omega-3 is called an essential oil because it is essential. Our body can't synthesize it, so we have to ingest it through food or other means. And it's a polyunsaturated fat that makes up the backbone of so many things in our body. So every single cell in our body requires the omega-3 phospholipid, requires the fats. Wow. Our brain is made up of 60% of the fat. So in order to support cognitive function and brain development, particularly in pregnancy and breastfeeding, it's incredibly important. You know, DHA is a main substance in the integrity of our retina. So in eye health, for example, it's incredibly important in cases like macular degeneration. Omega-3 is essential in development of eye development in utero, when we're pregnant or breastfeeding. Again, really, really important. It makes the sort of backbone. The easiest way to describe it is the kind of the taxi for our hormones to travel around our body. So, you know, as women and as men, you know, in terms of menstrual cycle and menstrual hormonal regulation, that's incredibly important. There's been a huge amount of research recently around its moderation of inflammation. So omega-3 helps us to produce a certain chemical from the immune system that helps to moderate inflammation, not stop it, because a degree of inflammation is really important for the body, but moderate it so it's in a healthy level. So that helps with things like menstrual cramping, for example. It's also been shown to be beneficial in things like autoimmune conditions. And the really interesting thing, I mean, as you can see, I find it so interesting. But one of the other really interesting body of research that's coming is around its impact on the diversity of the microbiome. So, you know, how levels of our omega-3 are so incredibly important for the growth of beneficial bacteria and the diversity of that bacteria. So, and as we know, we're seeing that so much of our health revolves around a healthy population and diversity of bacteria in the gut. So it's, you know, it's incredibly important for so many things. And the reason why we often need to supplement with it is because we just simply don't get enough through our diet. So, you know, there are implications now with eating oily fish, because unfortunately sometimes they are in seas that are heavily polluted. So, and a kind of anti-pollution process is very difficult to do on sort of live fish. So there's that. There's also things like alcohol, smoking, medication can all deplete our levels of omega-3. We also have diets that are very high in omega-6. So, you know, one of the balances, as with everything in nature, nothing is by coincidence. It's all about balancing out and ratios. And, you know, our ratio to omega-3 and omega-6 is incredibly important to maintain health. And we have a diet that's very, very high in omega-6 and very low in omega-3. So actually it's normally the omega-3 that we need to supplement with. To your point about the ratio between EPA and DHA, so these are the fatty acids that both serve a really important function together. So in our product, we have 800 milligrams of EPA and 400 milligrams of DHA. And the reason why is because when you find fatty acids in in food, you tend to find it in a 2-to-1 ratio. So it's really reflecting how we would find it in food. And like as I was saying, like anything, you kind of need to balance those two together, because the body's very sophisticated. And if you give it in the right ratio, then it will be able to do the job that it needs to do. And DHA is really important for brain function. EPA, there's a body of research coming out around EPA and its impact on anxiety and depression. In fact, there was a recent study published that taking a DHA and EPA together, but with a higher amount of EPA, was actually shown to reduce levels of anxiety by 20% within 12 weeks. So it's incredibly important.
So I've got a couple of questions here, because we put a call out for questions earlier, which I'd love to ask you. A couple here. One, what are the dietary sources of omega-3? So you mentioned fish. I mean, are we getting it from anywhere else? You know, obviously non-fish eaters, you know, where are they going to get it from? And do we need extra support as we age through midlife?
Really good question. So yes, you can get omega-3 through non-fish sources. So you can get them through nuts, you can get them through eggs that are kind of organic and where the hens have been fed on omega-3 enriched food. You can get them as well in small amounts in meat. If you're a meat eater, grass-fed meat, for example, has a more higher amounts of omega-3, but they're not at the same potency as you would find in fish. So you just need to be more mindful of making sure that you're getting in sufficient amounts of those. So, you know, for example, our omega-3, one daily dose of our omega-3 is the equivalent of having 1 tin of sardines in terms of the omega-3 content, which is, you know, significant. So yes, you can. And then of course, you know, you get degrees of it through kind of oily green leafy vegetables, and also things like avocado as well. So those things you can include into your diet, and that will all help to increase the amount of omega-3 that you're getting into your diet.
Right.
And then the age.
And what about the age question?
So, you know, as I've mentioned, there are things that can reduce our levels of omega-3. So things like medication, alcohol use, nicotine. But as we age, our body tends to need more lubrication. Our, you know, things like our joints, for example, our skin. So omega-3 works on the top layer of the skin in terms of hydration, so helping our body to lock in hydration into the skin layer, top skin layer of the skin. In the joints, it can also help. So again, another interesting piece of research that came out around joint health was around rheumatoid arthritis, and actually what they showed is that joint inflammation, and specifically around rheumatoid arthritis, that there was a link between low levels of omega-3 and pain. So again, this study was conducted where they gave 1,000 milligrams of omega-3, and the subjects were able to, they had less joint stiffness in the morning, and they were able to ease off their analgesics as well, so their painkillers. So, you know, our body needs more hydration because our body becomes less effective at producing hydration.
I think that the quality issue, particularly when it comes to oils, and I do want to touch on some of the other things from your range, because I think it is a brilliant range. I mean, really, seriously, congratulations to you, and a lot of credit where it's due. Why did you use fish and not algae?
Fish is quite simply a much more potent source of it. So that's why we use it. And algae is something that it's very difficult to get the level of EPA and DHA correct, and at the strength that your body needs without artificially stimulating it, which is not what we would choose to do. But the algae as a form of omega-3, for those that are following a vegan diet or choose not to use fish, is a really good source to go to as well.
Okay. And, you know, I've still, I guess, because the first book I wrote on nutrition was called Vital Oils. So I am seriously into my oils. And, you know, and the whole issue of rancidity and fish oils. And, you know, I can see some comments here about, you know, different brands being mentioned and price. And really, when it comes to oils, you must not buy on price, because it will be the lowest common denominator. And it's better to have nothing than to have a rancid oil. And, you know, and one way that you can tell is you could pierce this, and it's, if it smells really bad and fishy, if your oil is smelling really fishy, that's not a good sign.
Absolutely.
Would you agree, Henrietta?
And I think also there are, you know, I totally agree on the quality thing, and I would say that's across all supplements as well. But the oils, if it's, and sometimes people think it's if they get that kind of reflux burp experience as well. That's not always the sign of something being rancid. Sometimes that can be because there's a digestive issue as well, or that you could be eating it with tea or drinking it with tea or coffee. That will impact that. But the smell, the rancidity, I think you're absolutely right. If you pierce it and you smell it and it doesn't smell right, then trust your judgment on that.
Really, and look at use by dates. You know, there's a reason once you've opened things, you know, particularly with oils. A couple of other questions here, because we did have a call out. I think this is a really interesting one and quite topical with all the coughs and colds and flu bugs around at the moment. Does omega-3 affect the immune system, and can it help prevent infection?
Omega-3 is absolutely essential for the immune system. So, you know, all of the signaling, all of the chemicals that our body sends, our immune system sends out to either stimulate inflammation, reduce inflammation, attack viruses, engulf viruses, bacteria, is controlled by omega-3 fatty acids. So it's absolutely essential. There was a very recent study, you know, it's a preliminary study, but it was looking at the risk of developing symptoms with COVID-19. Omega-3 deficiency was part of that study, as with selenium, vitamin C, and zinc. The study, again, preliminary, but showed that there was, you know, the higher that your omega-3 levels are, the more healthy your omega-3 levels are, the less at risk you are. So, you know, these things have a significant impact on the immune system. We know that as again, the preliminary research has just looked at the rate of infection through coughs and colds as well with omega-3 deficiency, and not so much about you getting a cough or cold. We can't necessarily, nothing can really stop you getting that, but it's really around your recovery and how well your body responds to that. So, you know, what we're always looking for with the immune system is not to prevent something getting to the immune system, but how healthily your immune system responds to it. And the research has shown that omega-3 can really help your body's healthy response to exposure to infections.
Great. Before we go, let's talk just a little bit about your consultation process and what happens when people kind of go onto your website. I mean, I just love these. I mean, look at that Natural Glow. That's an absolutely fantastic supplement. Isn't this brilliant? What's this got in it? Vitamin E, vitamin C, biotin, which we know is for hair and for skin and for nails, copper. You've got some keratin in there as well, which is really interesting. Bioflavonols, beta carotene. You've got the really good quality ashwagandha. If anybody is looking to replenish their ashwagandha, this is the KSM 66, which is the gold standard for ashwagandha. Really good vitamin D. You've got complete beauty support for women with hyaluronic acid. Oh my goodness. Talk to us about consultations with your team.
You just made me think of another amazing benefit of omega-3 actually, because of the Natural Glow. You know, Natural Glow is a really beautiful product. It's incredible, and what it helps your body to produce is higher amounts of keratin and melanin as well, which we know are protective for exposure to sun. And what omega-3 also helps with the integrity of the melanocytes and keratinocytes, which you will know produce melanin and keratin, and also reduce photosensitivity. So, you know, if you've got a very sensitive skin against exposure to sun, then omega-3 and Natural Glow can be a really powerful combination. So the consultations are really a really important founding part of the business. So, you know, for me, it was always about producing really high quality products that work with real women's bodies. But it's also, so much of it is about us understanding for ourselves what is right for us. And, you know, we're so often told, oh, so, you know, your neighbor took something, so that works for them. And so actually it's about you as an individual knowing what's right for you and empowering you to understand your body and what you need. And sometimes we need only the smallest tweak. We only need a very small tweak to our diet or our supplement program or our lifestyle that can make a difference. So the consultations are offered as a way of helping women to understand what they need and to understand their bodies. So you can have a free 15-minute consultation that can talk you through what is going on for you, and free.
Free
One-to-one. So
one-to-one,
you
free.
can book online. There's a little link, say book a consultation, and then if you feel that you want something that's more in depth, you can book in for a 45-minute consultation where we can go into more depth about what is going on for you, just take more of your medical history, etc. But it's a very, very empowering service, and you know, as I said right at the beginning, it can be so overwhelming when you know, the market is enormous. So how do you know what's right for you? And this is just a way of helping people to understand what they need.
I had your free consultation, and I have to say I was having a really busy day, and I thought, oh, do I really need to, you know, chat to somebody about vitamins, because I just know a fair amount, you know, it's all fine. Anyway, the therapist I spoke to was brilliant. I learned so much, and I did test her because I started talking about a few of my gene variances and various SNPs I've had through nutritionomics, and I thought, oh, we'll just see how much you know. And she was right on it. I mean, she was immediate, saying, actually, Liz, I think what you really need to be doing is looking at this, and maybe you could look at the methyl form of this, and that's what we use with that, and you're going to be fine. If you take this with that, you'll just get a little bit more out of it. And I thought, yeah, you really do know your stuff.
Highly vetted,
really,
highly trained team of nutritionists, you know, women who not only have got that professional expertise, and they really are fantastic, but they're also women. So, you know, and I think that's also really valid, because, you know, a lot of the things that women will want to talk to them about, you can have that personal experience with as well. So that's also really important. I'm really glad you had a great consultation. That was,
really did. I really did. No, I wanted to say that, you know, a really grateful thanks to you and to your team. And presumably we can also contact you on Instagram, through the website, you know, because nutrition is complex. But I have to say, I really, having researched your brand, spoken to you, to your team, done all the due diligence beforehand, it is a genuine Liz Loves. I would totally trust the integrity of the products and everything that you're doing. And as I say, I always say value is not always about price. You get value for money when you actually get something that delivers and gives your body.
Totally agree. And sometimes, you know, sometimes our advice is, if it is on value, that you're almost better off taking half the dose of a really good quality item than taking the full dose, or than taking a cheaper version that actually your body can't metabolize. And you touched on genetic SNPs, you know, actually that's very, very influential on how you can metabolize things. And sometimes you could be paying for something that your body isn't actually absorbing. So
just isn't absorbing. That's a really interesting point, and I think that's very fair of you to say that, you know, that when price is an issue, you know, maybe having a little bit less of something better quality will actually deliver something, rather than buying something purely on price that you might just you're just going to pay it straight away. It's not actually going to touch the size.
Yes, we have.
And you have given us a discount, so we're very grateful for that as well. And that's across everything on the site.
So we'd love for
until June. Okay, great. So we've got plenty of time, and that is wildnutrition.com. It's so lovely to speak to you. Thank you for your time. I've learned a lot, as always. It's just so great to be able to connect with founders who are so knowledgeable and so passionate. And I really genuinely wish you every success with it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us, because it's always a delight to talk about it, and I hope it's been helpful for your audience as well.
Yeah. Really has. Thank you. By the hearts. You're going to have to click off on the little square, because if I do it.
Thank you very much, Liz. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Now, before I go, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to another great nutrition brand that we were talking to earlier in the week, and that was Gabriella Peacock. Oh my goodness, the Feel Great Fibre. Is anybody trying this? Have you tried it? Seriously good stuff. If you are looking at a bit of weight control, maybe not this weekend, because we've got Easter eggs and all of that and holiday time. So, you know, I'm not going to be counting exactly all my macros and sugar grams and all of that this weekend, but I will be back on it next weekend. So get your order in. Feel Great Fibre. One of the few supplements that can actually say clinically on the pack that it can help with weight control. And you just have a little bit of this 3 times a day before meals. And not only does it swell up inside that natural glucosamine fibre, but it's also helping to regulate blood sugar. So it's very good for helping to control the insulin spikes. It's also very good for the microbiome, feeding the beneficial bacteria. Really, really good. Okay, so highly recommend it. That's Gabriella Peacock, and you can find that at gpnutrition.com. And again, Liz Loves gives you 15% off, so seriously recommend it. Now, I am going to be spending a little bit of time in Austria with my family, and so I am really, really excited about having a little bit of an Easter mini break. And as part of that, I just wanted to show you a few of the things that I brought with me, because these are my travel wraps, and we do have a Liz Loves on travel wraps too. So this is one of the things we've had ongoing actually for years. I've had a collaboration with the lovely Neve who runs it, and in fact there is even a Earle Wellbeing travel wrap, which is a pink one, but this is actually Brella's. So I really rather like this. I might actually do a little reverse sneaky steal. You know how girls are always raiding my wardrobe? Well, I think this might be a bit of a time for payback. I hope you're not watching this, Brella. But yeah, I quite like this, like a herringbone. So this is sort of black and grey, really chic, very nice. And I have actually arranged, it was her Christmas present, I have arranged her initials are on it somewhere, but I can show you mine because this is my version. My version is just a little bit softer. Love that. And these last 4 years, I mean, I've been collecting these for literally for years. And when my family want to give me something special, I say, listen, why don't you all club together and just buy me one thing? Because these I do love so much. And this one, so of course my initials, LE, are on all my travel wraps. But of course it doesn't really help when Lily comes to stay, because she'll pick one up and she'll go, oh, Lily Earle, excellent, I'll just take that. So hey ho, I need to embroider hers, I think, with AE, because her real name's Amaryllis. And actually her married name isn't even Earle, so maybe I need to redo all her travel wraps. And just a couple of other things to mention. We do have the subscription gift still going, just a few of them, if you're quick, for the Earle Wellbeing magazine. And Brella, my lovely Brella, has been having real issues sleeping. Oh, by the way, just to say, the travel wrap is Liz Loves 23. It's a slightly different code, 10% off, but it's Liz Loves 23. So make a note of that if you fancy one of your travel wraps, either now or a bit later on if you've got somebody special. I actually had my niece, I gave her one with her initials on for her 30th birthday. I wanted to give her something really special. So yeah, so if you're thinking about that for later, it's Liz Loves 23 on travel wrap. But yeah, so just coming back to the subscription. So Brella has not been sleeping very well. She's doing so well, Brella. She's just been in 2 little films, and she's just been given a part for a feature, which is so exciting. Anyway, I'm not supposed to talk about that, so I won't. Forget I said it. But anyway, well done, Brella. But she has been quite stressed. Obviously, she's been doing lots of auditions and practices and filming and all of that. And her sleep has gone out of the window. So I had my Better You Lights Out spray, and which I'd given to her. And that's why the box is empty, because she's got it. And it's got 5-HTP in it, along with lemon balm and passion flower. And it is so good. You know, the 5-HTP, which is the precursor to melanin, which helps us sleep, has been really transformational. So if you're struggling with sleep, I seriously recommend Better You Lights Out. This is their new one. It's their new nightly spray. It's about £20. I think it's £19.95. If you want to buy it on its own, then Better You do give us a discount. So use your Liz Loves. I think it's 20%. But you can get this free. Okay, £20 worth free with your direct debit subscription to Earle Wellbeing magazine. So if you haven't yet subscribed, or you'd like to give a gift subscription to somebody else, that would be a really good thing to do, and you get your free Lights Out. And as I say, it has been, I think it's really good. I thought it was really good. I gave it to Brella. She thought it was excellent and is sleeping so much better these last couple of nights using that. So there we go. So that is it for today. Lots of great things to talk about, lots of lovely questions. Thank you so much. I'm going to be back with you live on Tuesday next week after the Easter break. I will be coming live from Austria, so watch out for that. Will I be wearing a dirndl? Maybe I can borrow one from one of my Austrian friends. Anyway, sending you lots of love. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the kind comments. Really nice to see you all. Have a very lovely, very happy Easter. Enjoy those Easter eggs. Guilt-free, especially the dark chocolate ones. You know, life's about living in balance. I always say it's like the 80-20 rule. You do not have to be good in inverted commas, all the time. Let's just kick back a little bit this weekend and pick up again next week. Sending you lots of love. Nice to see you. Thanks, Alison. Thank you, Maureen. Thanks, Sarah.